An estimate of 80,000 black people could lose their health insurance in Louisiana under Medicaid cuts in Trump's big, beautiful bill. Let's talk power plays and politics along with pardons. Let's get into it. Donald Trump and his big, beautiful bill have been rolling through the U.S. House of Representatives on its way to the Senate. It passed the House. And this big, ugly bill, I know that they're calling it a beautiful bill, but potentially, based on the most recent data, up to 190,000 people in Louisiana could be cut of their health insurance. And if you estimate that about 45% of the people that are receiving those benefits are black in Louisiana, which means that about 80,000 black people in Louisiana could lose their Medicaid health insurance. We live in the richest country on earth, and nobody should be struggling to pay for health care. Nobody should be cut from their health care by the government, because the reality is, if they're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, I'm sure that they could look at some of their counterparts who contributed to their campaigns faster than they could look at Momo, who needs her health insurance. So at the same time that they're trying to take away benefits from your aunt, your mother, your grandmother, they're trying to say that any young man, now watch this now, they're saying that young men who are at home playing video games need to go work rather than playing on games all day, and that we'll get better insurance from going to work. Some of the best insurance that you can get in America comes through government. Okay, that's a fact. And when you look at young people in America in an economy that's struggling, where people are struggling to get a job in the fields that they went to school for, playing a video game doesn't mean that you shouldn't have health care. Somebody being unemployed doesn't mean that they shouldn't have health care in the richest country on earth. And I think that sometimes we let these people play in our faces that a young person, an able-bodied young person is the way that they're trying to say it, is undeserving of health care in the richest country on earth, where their parents have paid into the tax system, where their grandparents have paid into the tax system, and where they are eventually going to pay into the tax system if they are unemployed today, because not having a job today should not mean that if I get sick that I can't go see a doctor.
Taking it away from is the able-bodied adult with no children who refuses to work.
And we're not talking about people who are disabled. We're talking about able-bodied recipients of Medicaid, that folks who are sitting around, if you're 33 years old and you're living in your parents' basement, perhaps you should, if you're receiving Medicaid benefits, if you're down there playing video games, maybe you should try and go out and get a job if the federal government is going to help pay for some of your health care. That's not an unreasonable thing. Yeah, the taxpayers, that's right.
That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work. That's what everybody supports. That's what the Republicans are for. And by the way, we find dignity in our work. That's going to be good for everybody.
In the richest country on earth. But the power play for people who have a lot, it doesn't mean anything for them to say, oh, they'll be fine. They need to work. And they're trying to make sure that they do a checkup every 6 months to say whether or not this person is employed. Those repetitiveness of checkups on people, whether or not they're employed, is going to cause a level of gap to exist, and people will just get dropped off the insurance because they don't want to pay for insurance for poor people or black people. Women's Hospital here in Louisiana is one of the top 20 birthing centers in America, okay? Which means that a lot of the money that Women's Hospital gets is Medicaid patients, all right? If those cuts are made to Medicaid, Women's Hospital loses money. Let me be clear. Women's Hospital delivers more babies than most hospitals in America, because in Louisiana, there are not a whole host of hospitals all over the place where women can have their children. And so women from all over the state of Louisiana come to Baton Rouge to Women's Hospital to have their baby. Women from Mississippi, southern Mississippi, come to Louisiana to have their baby often. And so the reality is, for these people, many of which are Medicaid patients, when those cuts comes, what happens to those hospitals? What happens to the staffing in those hospitals when those Medicaid cuts come? These cuts don't just impact the people who lose their coverage, but it impacts the people who supply services to the people whose coverage is lost. So while you may think, oh, I'm not worried about their insurance, you might be worried about your job, though. Nurses, CNAs, x-ray technicians, lab techs, people who work in different fields in the hospital, people who own nursing homes, people who work in nursing homes, people who are in management in different healthcare facilities, people who work in rehab and physical therapy places. A lot of these people that live in the 50th ranked state in the nation have Medicaid for health insurance. And those people have been serviced by you for quite some time. Donald Trump doesn't think they should be anymore. Will you have a job or not? So the power play is what's taking place in DC, in Washington with that. The politics is at the same time, while the Congress is cutting your benefits, literally saying that they're going to take thousands of people all over the country. I'm just using Louisiana as an example, right? We got 4 million people in Louisiana, 190,000 people that have the potential to be cut from their Medicaid. 45% of the people that have Medicaid in Louisiana are black. So if there's 190,000 people that potentially will be cut from this program, that means 86,000 black people potentially will lose their health insurance. That is a power play. At the same time, while he is allowing your health insurance to be cut, he's pardoning rappers and people who rap culture has embraced, as in Larry Hoover and NBA Youngboy. Let me be very clear. I have no issue with the pardons of people who have been wrongly handled by the government. If you look at the Larry Hoover case, I'm not an expert on it, but the man was convicted of a crime when he was 22 years old. He's been in jail since he was that young. He also was not the shooter, and the shooter has been had their sentence either pardoned or commuted. So the person who actually killed somebody for the crime he's in jail for has already been pardoned. The stuff that he had the feds charges for, Trump pardoned him. NBA Youngboy had some feds charges, Trump pardoned him. And a lot of people are excited, especially about the Larry Hoover pardon. But let's be clear. Larry Hoover means a lot to a lot of people in black culture, in the rap culture, and NBA Youngboy means a lot to a lot of young people in rap culture. Both of them have a huge impact on a specific demographic of black people that may be more susceptible to supporting conservatives who do things like this, right? But the reality is, if you are cutting health insurance from Larry Hoover's grandmother, from Youngboy's grandmother, from their loved ones and the people that they care about, even when you pardon these people, you are still playing in people's faces. And I don't want to ever get it twisted. I don't have an issue with them being pardoned, but there's a whole drove of black men and women that are in the penitentiary that Trump should be reviewing. But the people that have gotten out first have been a lot of famous people. Now, he did 1,600 January 6 people in January, okay? So let's not front like this dude is doing something grand for black people by pardoning 2 black people when you let 1,500 or 1,600 people who stormed the United States Capitol, you gave them a pardon too. So pardoning for Trump is really theatrics more than it is power. Now, it is a display of power, certainly, but the power that they are actually maneuvering is to bring harm to people, not to help them. And I think that too many of us have kind of played into this game like, you know, I've read the comments. I've seen people talking about, you know, this is a good thing and should Pritzker pardon Hoover in Illinois. Make no mistake about it that Trump pardoned Hoover, Larry Hoover, which put pressure on a Democratic governor to see what that Democrat would do in that situation. To make you believe, oh, they're not for you, but I am. How can you be for me because you release a rapper and you release somebody who has been incarcerated for 50 years, but you're cutting health insurance from 80,000 people in my state? How can you be a benefit to my community while at the same time ending Job Corps? When you talk about NBA Youngboy specifically, a young black man who grew up in Baton Rouge, same city I'm from, where a lot of resources to help young black men who are struggling are not there. When you eliminate a program like Job Corps, which is a program that was created for young people who may be struggling with behavioral issues or education, which gives them the ability to go get a skill or a trade. And let me talk to you about some of the top programs in Job Corps: carpentry, electrical, building maintenance, painting, welding, cement and masonry, HVAC, okay? In the Job Corps program, 45% of the people in Job Corps receiving those benefits through the government were black around the country. 45% of the people participating in Job Corps were black. 27,000 black folks around the country. 14,000 white people, 13,000 Hispanic people. Hispanics made up approximately 21% of those that were in the Job Corps program. 21% Hispanic, 45% African American, 24% white. You do the math and ask yourself, why was Job Corps hit? Because over 50% of the people that Job Corps was servicing were black people. Young black men and women, black, brown, up to 50%. And in some communities, that number is probably over 50% based on where you live. And so when you talk about helping us, you're really hurting us every day. Trump is hurting us every single day. And the power play is what they're doing in Congress. The politics is playing in your face. Playing in your face. Using the maneuvers of politics, using the mechanisms of politics to give this person a pardon while cutting the benefits right here, which ends up with more young black men and women in the judicial system than coming out of it when you eliminate a program like Job Corps. So you're talking about somebody who's cut Medicaid, cutting Job Corps, and pardoning people from jail. Yeah, they'll cut you loose from jail so you can get up in more trouble. Now, young boy, Larry Hoover, I don't believe that either one of those individuals, I pray that both of those individuals, I believe Larry Hoover for certain, if he is granted a pardon by Pritzker, we should see no issues from Larry Hoover. I pray that young boy is the same story, but I don't ever want us to get it twisted like they're doing some big favors for us because you let a rapper out of jail. While you're cutting programs that benefit young black people, cutting programs that benefit middle age and older black people. Don't let these people play in your face. It's power plays in politics every day. And the only way they can play with you is if you let. Next subject, I want to show you two videos. One is of a black young sister who was arrested here in Baton Rouge. The other is of a white man who is talking to the police in the northeast portion of America. And he's talking to federal agents, ICE agents, and the local police department. This young sister's talking to the Baton Rouge Police Department. I want to be very clear that the sister was arrested. The white man was able to walk away. The young sister has charges. The white man was able to continue to follow the police after he said these things.
How you doing, sir?
Good. What's going on, guys?
Not much.
What are we doing?
They were just telling me that you were following them.
Yeah, I'm following them.
All right, that's fine.
I'll continue to follow them.
That's fine. As far as RN goes for local PD, obviously filming, you got your First Amendment right.
10-4.
Following them, you're on a public way.
10-4.
That's not against the law as long as you
Gotcha.
obey all traffic violations, traffic infractions, stuff like that.
10-4.
And they're just concerned that you may be impeding with their job. That's all.
No, as long as I'm on the public roadway or on the public access, then
No, of course.
I don't think I'm impeding with them, and we got to do what we got to do.
No, of course.
You, them, and me.
Yep,
so,
they do have a job too, so they just
Yeah,
don't want to impede with their job. And again, by following them, you're in a public way. You can
I get it, man. That's why I'm here.
That's something we're concerned about. But.
Yeah. So traffic laws would go for these guys as well. You can't drive down South Road or North Road. Do you know which road is South Road? Do you know which road North Road is? No, because you're not from here, you fucking goon. In any event, the speed limit is not 15 miles an hour the whole fucking way. It's not 20 miles an hour. It's 40 miles an hour. All right? So try to keep that in mind and obey the laws that we have here as I do.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm fucking enraged at your fucking mask wearing ass.
Okay.
That's why I'm shaking.
So, sir, I'll have a conversation with you. You talk. Let me have a conversation. So that's fine. You know, do what you got to do, record all that stuff. But here's your official warning. Okay, we have the FBI with us. If you impede in any way, shape, or form, you are going to be arrested and taken into federal custody.
Thank you. Okay. Here's your official warning. If you trespass against my rights, I will not comply with you. I will not resist with you. Okay. I will take offensive with you. Okay. That's your warning. Okay. I know what my rights are, and if you break them, be forewarned that I will do what I need to do to protect myself. Okay? Okay? Good.
That was all.
Why do you wear the mask? Why can't you answer that question? Huh? I mean, I don't understand why you don't answer the question. I mean, you're fucking pussy, dude. Pussy.
Bro. I know you lying to me, bro. I hope that's recording.
Yes, it's recorded.
You on a power trip?
Yeah, I'm on a power trip.
I see.
Yeah, just go ahead and do what I need to
I
do.
see.
You have anything in your vehicle, ma'am?
I already told you I have
Do
my.
you have your driver's license, registration?
I have my
insurance?
driver's license.
Do not
but
yell
this
at me,
is,
ma'am.
You're yelling at me.
I'm talking to you.
You're yelling at me.
Ma'am.
I don't like being yelled at.
So that's what I'm gonna tell
We
you.
can respect each other
That's
and
what
talk
I'ma
to each
tell
other
you.
like civilized human beings, but I'm not gonna allow you to
That's what I'm
yell
gonna
at
tell
me.
you. If you don't get the information that I need, you will be detained.
I have my driver's license.
Where is it?
On my phone.
Show it to me,
And
ma'am.
this is my mother's
I've
vehicle.
heard that before. Show me your driver's license, ma'am.
Bro.
Are you refusing?
This
Are you refusing,
You
ma'am?
finna arrest me?
Are you going to show me your driver's license?
I'm going to
yes or
show
no?
you my driver's license.
Right
You're
now.
asking me the same thing.
Now, I am often told when I talk about police issues, especially when it relates to young black people, that, you know, we need to tell them to shut up and survive the encounter. They don't argue with a cop on the side of the road because at the end of the day, you want to get home at night. I want you to listen to how this white man talked to this police officer. He was very direct. Matter of fact, he gave the cop a warning. He told the cop that if you step over my rights, I'm going to act on that. And I think that one of the things that we forget as black people especially is we have rights. That the minute that we allow certain people to treat us certain ways, we are relegating ourselves to second-class citizens. And you have the right to ask people questions. Now, listen, I'm not here to have the debate with you today about what you should do if you were in that situation, okay? But when other people are in situations with the police and they assert themselves, they have a right to. When other people, black people especially, are in a situation with the police and they decide to ask, why are you pulling me over? Or they decide to ask, why is this happening to me? Or to identify yourself in different ways, they have a right to do so. Now, you got to use wisdom and judgment every single day. But they asked that white man who was in that encounter with the police, why are you shaking? Sometimes they see things and they want to pry on that, poke at that, right? What we have to know is you have a right to be angry. You have a right to be fearful. You have a right to be upset. You have a right to feel whatever emotion you feel. You also have a right to question them. You have a right to be within your legal rights every single time. And it annoys me. Matter of fact, now it pisses me off. It really pisses me off how much we as, not just white people, as black people, will tell other black people to take inhumane treatment or unjust treatment from people who work for us. And I think more of what we need to do is demand that the standards change. I was having a conversation with someone recently and they were sharing something with me and they said, well, and we were talking about policing. And they said, well, that person needs to change what they do. I said, no. And the person is a person in power. I said, no, what you need to do as a person with some structural power is go tell these police officers how to conduct themselves, because they're the people that are on a clock doing a job. And I think too often we have allowed the job that police officers do to allow them privileges and rights that are not due to someone to go against someone else. I think far too often what we do is we allow police officers to do things to us that we would not let any other citizen do. One of the things to remember is that you're not calling the police because you had a good day. Nobody's calling the police or having an encounter with police because it was a good thing going on. Most of the time, if you're having an encounter with the police, it's a pretty stressful situation. Something happened that wasn't good that you needed the police to intervene in. And if you know that when you show up on the scene, why you got to be pissy if somebody pissy with you? Or here's the other thing, and I said this in the video. This does not happen to white people the same way when they talk to police the same way. And why? Because the consequences will be different, because they are seen as full citizens. And one of the things that you need to remember is you are a full citizen if you was born in these United States of America, whether they want you to be or not. And we have to be very keenly aware of the way that we look at some of these things. And I would just challenge you, if you're a black person who sees videos like this and automatically starts saying what the black person needs to be taught to do, remember that the black person is not on a job. Remember that the black person is not being paid with tax dollars. Remember that the person that the cop is detaining is the person who is the employer of the police officer. If you pull me over and detain me, I'm still your boss. I'm still your boss. Now, this young lady was running a red light. This man was following the police. She was arrested. He got to talk to them and tell them what he felt. He went on. That's America, 2025. And the reason I keep talking about some of the things that I bring up is because there's a lot of folks who say, oh, I couldn't have lived in these times. You're alive today. You're alive today. What you doing about it? Next subject, I want to run real quickly to this video of State Representative Edmond Jordan here in Louisiana. He's fighting for legislative maps. So Louisiana is a gerrymandered state. We have districts where black people make up 33% of the state of Louisiana, yet the legislature is imbalanced. White Republicans have a supermajority. There's not enough black representation. We should actually have several more Senate seats as well as more House seats. I think a total, I don't want to quote the number because I'm going to be wrong, but Edmond Jordan, state representative, he's actually my state representative and the chairman of the Black Caucus. He had an interaction with one of the state representatives there, and this is what he said.
Only way to create an opportunity district is to get over the 50% threshold.
50.1, yeah, you could do that.
So I would debate that there's a lot of opportunities out there for everybody, the qualified candidate, to run. Right there in my home parish, we have a black sheriff that was elected by a landslide in a 65% white community.
I'm not telling you that there aren't exceptions to the rules, but if you look at the history of voting in Louisiana, the history does and the empirical data just doesn't show that by and large. So if you want to show me some one-off that's an exception, I'll take that. I'll even tell you.
Well, we have another one-off. We had a black mayor that was elected in a predominantly white community recently. So we have a black marshal that represents the same community.
What I would tell you to that, the Rev Farnham, is if you want to give me, out of the thousands of elections that we have, if you want to tell me 10, that's less than 1%. I get what you're saying. If you want to do it anecdotally, you could do that. But if we're going to go by the empirical data, we could do that. Look, I'm just telling you.
Well, it depends on how far you go back in time.
Let me finish though. So let me finish, because I think you're a perfect example, not necessarily from a racial perspective, but from a party perspective. I mean, you ran as a Democrat not long ago and lost and switched to Republican and you won. Mm-hmm. I mean, so the thing is, the difference between that is you could switch from Democrat to Republican. I can't switch from black to white, and so we can go off these one-offs all day long, but you're a perfect example. Not even 6 months later, just by switching party, you were able to come and claim a seat. We don't have that opportunity.
Well, I think that the quality of the candidate is far more important than the color of their skin.
Well, I would say that I don't think any quality has changed in you in 6 months, and you ran against the same person and beat them.
Well,
So I don't know. Agree with that, but
party affiliation is not allowed to be considered in this process.
Unless you're telling me you gained some magnificent qualities in a short period of time.
I would agree with you that nothing changed about the character in 6 months.
Well, I agree. So I think that negates the statement you just made.
But when you get into the 14th and 15th Amendment, this allows a lot of the things that we're talking about.
We're talking about the Constitution, and I think the maps, the court has already decided that the maps that we're under are unconstitutional.
And I just want to be very clear. That's my state representative, and I'm proud of it today because it is important that we confront people with direct truth. Here you have a politician who, in order to advance himself, changed his political party when he lost an election. We can't change this skin to make more white people embrace us, to make people who think that we're less than feel like we should be representing a community. But taxation without representation is wrong. And in Louisiana, black people make up 33% of the state. We don't have fair representation. Therefore, we are taxed, but we are not represented the way that we should be by our tax dollars. Because when many of us go to vote in certain districts, we should have a black representative and there's a white one. And so State Representative Jordan has been one of the folks that's been pushing this charge. If the legislature does not approve a fair map in this legislative session that ends June the 12th, Judge Shelley Dick will draw a fair map for Louisiana. We need to be watching what happens on these maps because ultimately the decision that's going to be made is going to end up in the court system sometime later this summer. I think I want to end this week by just saying that when you look at the Medicaid cuts, the power plays in the politics, when you look at the pardons, when you look at the policing situation, each one of them shows that no matter how much people try to say they don't care about government, government has a way to touch your life. So you shouldn't ignore it. You shouldn't allow someone else to make the decisions as it relates to what happens with the government in your community, especially at the local level. All politics is local. Be involved in what's going on in your community. I really feel one of the other things I want to say is that there's a strong need for us to be collaborative, to work together. If you see that people are working against you, then find the people who think alike, who share the same values, and work with those people so that you can advance. Because when you look at Job Corps being cut, healthcare being cut, people are going to lose their job as a result of these things, SNAP benefits potentially being cut for people. All of these things impact working class people, regular, ordinary people in our country, in our communities. And I got compassion and concern for those people. I want those people to do well the same way I want wealthy people to do well. And I hope that you do too. But I hope that you also are not just somebody who's sitting being a spectator, but you are figuring out how you can participate in the process. One is the easiest ways is paying attention to your local elections and voting. Two is showing up at a city council meeting or a state legislative hearing and letting people know that you're there, that you hear them. Three, you can share content with people from people who are more informed than you so that those people in your tribe can hear the information that they may not have heard before. And four, love yourself. Take care of yourself. Spend time doing the things that make you better, because if you can't show up as your best self, then you can't bring your best to the table to make our community better. And ultimately, I think we all want safe communities. We want to be able to provide for our families, and we want to have some quality of life that's worth having in our communities. We don't want to have to leave our community in order to have a strong quality of life. And none of the things that Trump is working on in his big, beautiful bill address those things. And so, like I told y'all, I wanted to do this to have more of a long form way to address some of the things that are happening. And I hope that something in this gave you some perspective that you can go out there and do something with. All right, till next time, do good, seek justice.